I want to thank you for joining me once again out here in the old dusty workshop. I am really excited today because we are going to be finishing up the Heron Mark blade. It is going to be absolutely incredible to see this amazing sword all the way finished. I am really excited to get all of the etchings done and really pull this whole project together. So far this has been an amazing blade to make. It has just an incredible weight and feel to it that really just makes you want to chop stuff with it. So I'm really excited to show you guys the finished sword today. And just before we get started, if you are new to the channel, it really helps when you like and subscribe. That is probably the biggest way that you can help me out and help the channel out, because I really love making awesome videos like this out in the garage, and really helps me to continue making all of those videos. So I want to thank you for everyone who has subscribed. And let's go ahead and get started on the sword. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to get this piece of leather fit up for the handle. Put the seam inside of the handle there. I'm just going to match it up with the center of the handle. I'm going to glue the seam first, and then I will work my way around. Cut off what I don't need on this side so it matches up perfectly. And then the last thing I will glue will be the other side of the seam. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing this, just so I can get that first line nice and stuck. I'll tape it up, let it cure, and we'll wrap the rest of this handle. And then after the leather is all the way wrapped, well, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of an inlay on the leather. I'm going to put a heron on each side of the handle. So that's going to be really, really cool. But I'm going to start by just getting this glued on. Let that sit for about 30 minutes. So now, our very edge here is dry. I'm going to leave the tape on for a bit. I'm going to glue this side. A nice little paintbrush to help me. So we have our handle leather wrapped, and now I'm just going to trim up and fold over these edges here, and then it'll be time to do the herons on each side. While that handle is finishing up drying, I am going to go ahead and hand sand the blade, and then it'll be time to do the etchings on the blade. I'm going to do them just under the fuller here. And I'm also going to be doing a heron up towards the ricasso here. Alright, I could not resist putting it all together just to see how it looked. Still have a little bit of cleanup to do on the guard. The handle is pretty much done except for the Heron inlay that's going to be right here. There's also going to be a Heron on the blade here, and then ahead of that, under the fuller, going down the blade, there will be the inscription. So, I'm going to start by taping off the area for the Heron here. I'm going to take these back off, and then I'm going to tape up my stencils and start electro-etching the inscription on the blade. So now I'm going to mask off the area with some nail polish, just so I can scribe on the Heron, and then I will etch the Heron in. So I roughly scribed the Heron outline on the handle, and now I'm going to cut away a thin strip of leather, and then I will fill that in with some white colored epoxy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use some wood glue that I used to attach the leather to the wood, and I am just going to glue down these little channels just so that makes everything a little more solid. I'll do that, and then I will do a infill with the white epoxy. So there it is, after the first little bit of gluing. And this just really kind of firms up all these edges and makes it, if there's any sticking up little parts, it kind of makes them hard, which makes them a lot easier to trim out of the channels. So now I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes, and then I'm going to do the first coat of the epoxy inlay. Alright, so now I'm going to clean it up a little bit very carefully with some Q-tips and a little bit of acetone, and that won't hurt the leather or the wood glue that holds the leather, but it will dissolve any of the epoxy that is outside of the lines. And then I'm going to let this sit and let it cure. Alright, so I have the handle all constructed. The guard is peened in place, and the handle is attached onto the tang. So now I have to heat up the very end of the tang and peen it down. I'm going to use the oxyacetylene torch. You will have to excuse me, I'm not super practiced on it, so I might seem a little awkward, but we're going to get that heated up and all peened down, and then the sword will be totally done. I'm really excited to have the sword 100% finished. All right. All peened in place. And this big, beautiful sword is completed. It feels absolutely incredible. Everything's really nice and solid. And I mean, this would be so much fun to cut with. It's just really incredible to get to make things like this. So now I'm going to oil it up, get it shipped off to its new owner. I mean, it's just, oh, this is probably one of my favorite swords I've ever made. And that concludes this series. I am oh so very happy with how it all came out. So I want to thank you for watching this whole series. It has been such an awesome sword to have the opportunity to make, and I absolutely love how it turned out. It is, like I said, probably one of my favorite swords I've ever made, and I look forward to making many other similar swords. I'm going to do a little more research into that style of sword, see what else that I can make that's similar. So I cannot wait to make another kind of similarly Wheel of Time themed blade. They are so much fun to make just because I am a big fan of the Wheel of Time. I have a couple things planned. They won't happen right away, but some things I really want to make that are Wheel of Time themed. I'm really excited to share them all with you guys. But until then, it always helps when you like and subscribe. You can catch my next episode of Let's Make a Sword. I will be finishing up the Damascus Katana. And then after the Damascus Katana is done, I have another sword series for you guys that I will get posted up. So I want to thank everyone who has watched the whole video, or just the whole series especially. I am very grateful to anyone who watches me build all of my crazy projects out here in the workshop. So I want to thank you. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I will catch you on the next episode of Let's Make a Sword.